doing. Okay, so let's get started for today's functional training workout. We're going to do a quick warm up and go right into our bigger movements. So we're going to start by standing up. We're going to be doing a lunge with a torso rotation and try to work in different directions before we do our 3-point lunge and more dynamic balance. Okay, so everyone's going to be standing up. Make sure you have plenty of room. So we're going to start by doing just a forward lunge and the torso rotation. So just a partial rotation, again from the side, lunging forward. As you go down, you're going to rotate. Okay, so almost pretend like you're going to touch the one elbow to the knee and back. Forward lunge, touching the elbow to the knee and back. That's just a guide so you know how far to turn. You're not doing a full turn. You don't need to crack your back or anything like that. So here we go. Lunge, touch, elbow to the knee. And you don't have to do that. If you're comfortable doing it on your own and you know how far to turn, you know your limits, you can just do that. Again, it's just for the warm up. We'll do 2 more. 1, 2, drop that back knee from that position. Place your right hand on the inside of the right foot. Take your left hand and reach to the ceiling. And then bring that left hand down, exchange it with the other hand. And rotate with your right to the ceiling. And hold that. You should be feeling this along the outside of your thigh, in the glute region, okay, as well as your mid back. Okay, standing back up, returning to our lunges. Again, same sequence. Forward lunge with the rotation. Two more. And hold. This time we're on the opposite side. Okay, so left foot's the lead, left hand goes to the side. Turning with your right hand, reaching to the sky, but we're on the opposite side. So we're opened up here, the opposite hip. And exchange to the right hand is beside the left foot. Now you're turning this way. Typically, this one feels the most awkward, depending on your imbalances, especially around the hip. You might be limited with the range of motion. Okay, standing up. Okay, now we're going to do our 3-point lunge with the dynamic balance. This is our hard one, and you might notice I'm not wearing shoes. A couple weeks ago, we did our functional training workout, and at the beginning, I had offered if you could remove your shoes. Now, obviously, if you're at home, chances are you might not even be wearing any doing your at-home workout. But if you were doing this in person, sometimes you can't remove the shoes. So doing it without the shoes when you're doing a dynamic balance exercise can be really beneficial. Sometimes the shoe basically poorly interacts with the foot and can significantly change your balance and proprioception. So basically how your mind can control motor skills of the balancing. If you do it barefoot, sometimes getting the feel of the floor underneath your foot can really help contract and dig in and use the small little muscles to help balancing. So that's why no shoes when we're doing functional training. Okay, all right. So for this one, we do the 3-point lunge, half range of motion. Don't touch your opposite knee to the floor, just down, cutting back. Big step to the side for the lateral lunge, return. And then the big step behind for the reverse lunge. And I went a little too low there, so just don't go quite that low. But of course, we're doing the balance, which means you're doing a leg lift. So no touching your foot to the floor when you do this. So it's forward, and then as you step back, you raise the foot up, you balance, and we go right down into the lateral lunge. And then as you step up this way, you raise the knee as well, You're never touching into the middle. And straight behind us, the reverse lunge, and repeat. Up, forward, up, side, up, reverse, up. Okay, you'll really feel that challenge of the dynamic balance, doing the lunge and then dropping the foot. Okay, let's keep going with this sequence. Up, forward, up, side, up. That's always a hard transition. Reverse, up. We'll go one more. And now you can set it down. So you can see the difference between lunging and bringing it back. Completing that movement cancels out the balance. It's easy. You're just standing here. Whereas when you're lifting it in between, a lot harder. Okay? Other side. The left foot lunge. Lift. Side lunge. Lift. Reverse lunge. Lift. Forward. Side. Reverse. Forward. Lift. Side. Take your time. Back. Two more each. Ready. Forward and lift. Side. Lift. Oh, I pushed too hard. Too much momentum will cause you to lose your balance. Last one. And done. Okay. All right, great. Walk it off for a minute there. Give yourself a little bit of a break. The legs are definitely getting warmed up. Just an active recovery. Stay moving, no sitting. Okay. Now we're going to be going back down to the floor. So I'm just going to adjust the camera. Okay. And again, as always, it's a tip. When you go from a standing upright position with movement, you increase your heart rate and intensity. Before you jump to the floor and aren't moving, you can get dizzy that way. Transition, so half kneeling lunge, rest the knees down. Take a couple of deep breaths. Be mindful of your respiration, so like how fast you're breathing. Then to two knees, and then sitting on your heels, and then eventually down into the starting position of the next exercise. So really the benefit is to make sure that we are maintaining that level of effort and quality of movement. So typically when you are out of breath or your muscles are fatigued, you can't complete the same movements with that high quality because you're exhausted. So it's better to recover and do them properly than to do them as you're dying. Okay. All right. So the next one on the floor is our bird dogs. We do them really, really slowly to contract the glutes and the core stabilization. The 4-point position. So just show you here. Hands are underneath your shoulders, not over here, and not down here by the knees. 4-point position. Okay. So what you're going to do is starting with your left leg, you're going to kick it back. Make sure you have enough room, and you're going to keep that extended. Do a couple pulses, just little leg lifts like this. You can really feel the glutes warming up. So keep it nice and high. Better to be higher than to be down here where you are not really working the glutes hip extension. Okay. The leg is lifted. Keep reminding yourself to keep it lifted, contract the glutes. Now you're going to do the opposite arm. So the right arm, and keep that extended and try to keep them nice and level. So if your leg drops, but your arms above it, they're not level. Vice versa, back. You keep them as level as you can and hold that. And now we'll begin the movement part. Just slowly bring them together, touching the knee to the elbow underneath the trunk of the body, and then fully extend, contract, and hold for 3 seconds. And again, touch. And by the way, the whole time you're doing these movements, you're also contracting your core muscles to stay nice and strong and tight. Just pretend if someone's to walk up to you and give you a slight nudge and push you on the shoulder, it shouldn't fall like that. If you're nice and strong and tight, you'll be better off to withstand that little nudge. Okay, backing in extend. And once more, in, extend, and relax. Leaning back for a second. Nice deep breath. We're focused, ready to go again. Back into the 4-point position. Opposite sides now. So now we are right leg extended back. Do a couple pulses, contract so you feel the glutes working, and then the left arm is extended forward. And just hold this for a little bit. Okay, nice and extended out. Now bringing it to the middle, touch, extend. You'll also notice the coordination involved here to time it properly. A lot of balance and stability, obviously, for sure. Pretend like someone's going to balance a broomstick on your back horizontally. And you want to make sure that when you're doing this movement, it's not falling over. Very difficult. And we'll do one more. Touch, extend, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, leaning back, sitting on your heels. Just 2 or 3 deep breaths. And we're recovering. Good, excellent. So you can tell how all these warm-up exercises involving the whole body, right? Even though when we were doing our lunges, you're thinking that's all lower body. Of course, that's the primary target. But whenever balance and coordination are involved, we have to have what's called basically synergy of the muscles. So they're working together to balance and keep it strong and centered. So stabilization of the upper body, the core, everything's involved, okay? Same thing when we're doing exercises on the floor. Whole body is working to keep you nice and straight, okay? The next one, basically what we're probably going to do here, if we have enough room, is a circle crawl. So we actually recently did a post this past Friday on crawling exercises. Check it out if you can on our recreation accounts. There's plenty of different intense exercise variations you can do on the floor doing a traditional crawl. Okay, but your legs are off the ground, okay? It's actually a lot harder than you think, so try it. So one of them was called a circle crawl. So in the same position we're sticking with on the floor here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna lift your knees off the ground. Now you're holding your body weight up, and instead of crawling forward, which we could do a bear crawl, we're gonna crawl in a circle. So basically what you're doing is the same sequence with your legs, with your arms, and then you're gonna switch directions, like so. Give that a try. You'll see this a lot in mixed martial arts workouts that they do. They're very intense. Upper body is hard at work here. Switching direction. Core stabilization. The legs will start to burn. We'll go 2 more each way here. 1, 2, and drop. Okay, excellent. All right, now we're going to transition to a standing position. It's the same rule that applies. Stepping up. Couple deep breaths. And then all the way up. Okay, take a water break. Okay, and then active recovery. Stay moving. Try not to sit down. Just another 15 seconds here. Okay, so if you do have your hand weights, your dumbbells, or whatever you're using, do grab those. For the first exercise, we're just going to need 1. Make sure you have 1 ready. Not too heavy. Not for this exercise. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab that weight. So now we're going to do our torso rotation exercise. We're working in what's called the transverse plane. So instead of just doing straight up and down movements, you need to work in different planes of direction. Sideways, which we did in the warm-up, the 3-point lunge, and rotation type exercises is really great to involve different planes of movement, different directions. Okay, so to get started, take your weight, pull it like this if you can. 2 hands on that weight. Stepping back, what you're doing is you're going to reach to one side of your body and up. That's all you're doing. And you're not doing excessive movement. You're not really swinging it like that. Make sure that you are keeping your shoulders forward. You're just doing this type of motion here to warm it up. And what you want to try to do is focus on using the hips here and the trunk. So the core is doing the powerful movement, not your shoulders, although it may look like that. Bit of a squat too on the way down. Switch directions. Now both, so it's up, down, opposite sides. Okay, and I'll hold it there, turning, involving the lunge. So what you're going to do is lunge backwards and row. So you want that powerful movement to be on the up part. So when you step forward, that's when you're following through with your rotation and your wood chop. Okay? So it's down, down, up, up. What I want you to try to focus on is the tempo. So slower on the way down, a quick, powerful movement on the way up. Okay? So down, up, down, up. Okay. And then finally, alternate sides. So down, up. 2 more. Okay, drop that weight, active recovery, couple laps, walk around. Okay, and both weights you'll need now. We're going to have 2 of those beside each other. Quick drink of water, and we'll continue. Okay, now we're going to do an exercise that involves a bit of everything we've done so far, but we're going to basically limit the motions that we're doing and focus more on the balance and stabilization. Okay, so what we're going to do is a one-legged bent over row. So a bent over row, you have 2 weights, and you're pulling those weights in an upward direction, squeezing your shoulder blades together. You're working your back shoulder muscles. But we're going to do this on one leg. So to do that, you're going to bend the front leg, send the back one out, and you're going to perform 1, 2, etc. Okay? Bit of a challenge, but anytime you involve balance, that's the case. All right, so here we go. Bending forward, get as low as you can, extend that back leg out. 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, You'll really feel that in the hamstrings and the glutes and the hip extension there. Stabilizing, very difficult. Other side, okay? Get your balance situated. Lower down, extend the back leg out. Ready? 1, 2, 9, and 10. Okay, excellent. Drop those weights down. Stay upright, active recovery, walk around. Okay, transitioning to the floor. Okay. So remember, kneeling, half kneeling, sorry. So in a lunge position with your knee rested on the floor. Wait for the breathing to slow down a bit. Okay, and then kneeling on both knees. And then sitting on your heels and on your feet there. It's always a good tip to transition from upright down to the floor slowly instead of going straight down and the heart rate's elevated. Okay, you can get a little disoriented, a little dizzy. Okay, and then finally we're going to come back. At the beginning, we did a crawling variation. So we did a circle crawl, so 4-point position with your knees off the ground, and we were doing a circular kind of direction. Okay, so that would be, let's say, an intermediate one. This one's a bit more advanced. So feel free if it's too hard, or our next limiting factor, which is space. If you don't have as much space as I do here, for example, I can go back and forth pretty easily. I might run over some toys, but otherwise I have space. If you don't have the space, stick with the first one I showed you, the circle crawl. It's still very effective upper body, core, and lower body for that matter exercise. So we're going to do what's called a gorilla crawl. So think about how certain primates move. They're really upper body dominant. Obviously, they're not fully bipedal like we are, which is walking fully upright all the time. So they have a really strong upper body to move them, right? So sometimes it's kind of fun to do exercises that mimic what we call primitive exercises. If you go back thousands of years before we were fully evolved how we are now, they did a lot of movements like that. So it's kind of fun. Or when you're a child, you move on the floor. So what we're going to do is gorilla crawl. Basically, you're moving in a lateral position. So we're going to be moving left to right. Same position you were in for the crawl. Knees are lifted off the ground. And then what we're going to do is we're going to shift our weight by hopping with our hands and our feet. It's going to look like this. Here. Like that. Okay, so you're shifting your weight side to side. And you're using your upper body and your feet to follow through. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Okay, here we go. If you don't have space, do the circle one that we did at the beginning. Okay, up. And then just go back the other direction. Again. One more time. And done. Okay. All right. Crawl your way forward. We're going to get into a cool down. Still on the floor. Do some stretches here. Let's start with the butterfly stretch. Feet together. Elbows on the knees. Pushing down slightly. And hold that position. Stretching the inside of the leg here, the adductors. Focus on controlling that breathing, slowing down the heart rate. Kicking out one leg into a hurdler stretch for the hamstrings. Point your toes up to the sky. And you don't need to reach to touch them, just hold it there, it's plenty. Switch sides. And point that toe straight up. Okay, keep your right leg, the one that's bent, right where it is. Take your left leg, reach it behind you. It's semi-bent, kind of bent in a zigzag. Where your right hand is, just lean to that side. Try to straighten that back leg a bit more so you feel that pull on the hips here. And then slowly lean to the middle, and you'll feel that a bit more. And then try to really extend that back leg. But finish the stretch position, lifting off the ground so there's space from the glutes to the floor here. On the side, it looks something like this. Okay, legs in front, bent, back leg is straight, and you're up over top of that front leg. We call this the pigeon pose stretch. Very good for improving mobility of the hips. And then drop the glutes down on the floor. See how that's set down on the floor. Bend the back leg to relax, leaning back. And then the stretch is complete. Okay, those are the different variations. Okay, back to the front. So this leg is bent. This one's at the back, leaning off to the left to start. And you should feel hips here on that side. And then try to straighten out that back leg some more. I feel this a lot in the hip flexors. You might notice that as well. And then lean to the center. And then finally, over top of your leg, like so. And hold that stretch there. Setting it down on the floor, bend the back leg, lean to that side, relax. And we're going to twist to our lunge, half kneeling position for our hip flexor stretch. So knees are at 90-degree angles. And you're going to rotate your body a little bit and leaning forward and hold that position. Okay, push it back to relax. And just go into it one more time. You can also take the opposite arm and reach across the body, a bit more advanced. You don't have to do that. You can keep yourself upright or rotated slightly. Plenty to be effective here. Okay, pushing back, switch sides. Left leg is in front, 90-degree angles, and rotate slightly and lean forward. You'll feel the opposite side here. Woo, tight. Lean back a bit to relax. Try the arm reach now, go back down, reach the arm across. If that's too much, like it is for me, stick with the first one. Push it back and relax. Okay, excellent. Thank you, everyone. That was your functional training workout. I really hope to continue doing this in some capacity, and maybe we'll be back on campus, hopefully soon, doing some kind of in-person fitness class. Okay, so thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of the week. It is our wellness week right now. Check that out on our social. Thanks. Be well.